All right, I want to move on to our next and final segment of the podcast because I am taking up way too much time here. Plug or unplug.
Okay.
For our listeners or first-time listeners, plug or unplug is I'm going to give you a piece of gear or plug-in. Plug if it's something you really like and you use. Unplug if it's something you're like, nah, not for me, or bypass or make inactive if you really don't know too much about it.
Okay.
And you can go into why or why not. If you don't know what it is, I'll give a little explanation about it.
Okay.
First plugin. Soundtoys Sci-Q.
Is that how you say it?
Sure, I don't know. I have no
I always
idea.
thought it was a CQ.
Oh, I don't know. I see SIE.
I think it's CQ because I think it's based on a Siemens
Well, then you
piece.
probably,
I think.
that would make more sense. I have no idea.
I think. Somebody will correct us if we're wrong. But
Should it be CQ? Because EQ, CQ, that would make sense.
That's what I'm guessing. Let's.
I've been saying it wrong for years.
I actually do like that.
Yeah.
I use that, especially because it's the only plugin. It's the only EQ that's in the effect rack.
Yes.
That's a pure EQ. So I use exclusively the effect rack. I don't use any of the other plugins on their own anymore.
Oh, okay.
There's no reason to.
Yeah.
You have expanded capabilities with the effect rack, and it doesn't cause extra, CPU that go crazy. It's nothing like that. So a lot of times when I've made a chain in there and I want some enhancement, the CQ and the drive knob on that thing.
That's what I was going to bring up. The drive knob is
derivative of the decapitator algorithm was my understanding of it. But it's great. As a one knob saturator,
it's really good. I use it a lot on guitars when I want to poke out a little bit more.
The high frequency knob is the other one that I touch. I touched that in the high frequency.
I ask you this because you have one and you've been using it for a while, so thought it might be fun, and I love this company. AudioScape, their EQPA.
Oh boy. My first foray into the hardware Pultec zone. So in an estate sale, 2 of these were part of the estate sale that I purchased. And since then, maybe at this point, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, whenever those hurricanes were in Florida, actually, I sent both of them back to AudioScape because one of them had some kind of some intermittent issue. And so I sent them back there, and I had them, they were like, oh yeah, we'll fix it up. We're going to upgrade the iron inside, whatever that meant. They were using new parts now, and they weren't back then, whatever it was. Upgraded the insides, made it all nice. And then I asked them to do the mastering mod on it. So they put detents in half steps all the way around all of them. And I never used Pultecs on mastering bus or on my master bus before. I'd never done that. It didn't feel like, they all have full potentiometers. It's like you can't really line it up perfect. So I just didn't, in my brain, I was like, well, if it can't be perfect, you can't use it. This thing, I've had so much fun with it, even since before the mastering mod. You can't make it sound bad.
Right.
I have tried. All knobs cranked.
Yeah.
All boost, all attenuate, all the way up on vocals or electric bass. Doesn't sound bad.
Yeah, it still sounds like, it just sounds different, but it still sounds good.
In some ways, it sounds better.
Right.
It's messed up. I don't actually understand
whatever curve that
deeply why this is working like that, because no plugin does that. You dime every knob on any Pultec plugin. Yeah. It's not going to sound good. It isn't. So there's something kind of gentle and transparent about their hardware EQs that I am kind of in the middle of my freak out still. I'm like, that first year freak out anytime you get some of these pieces of gear and you're messing with it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they were super helpful. I was so scared because when I sent them off to get modded and fixed, that was the week of the hurricanes that hit Florida.
Right.
And their warehouse flooded.
Yeah.
And they took pictures of it, and I was like,
no.
That's probably my piece right there.
Yeah.
They're both of them are probably sitting right there.
Knowing them, if you had lost it in the flood, they probably would have just given you a new one.
They would have. They're that good.
They're a very good company.
They are that good.
Yeah. There's like good guys there, and like I've had a couple AudioScape pieces over the years, and I can't speak highly enough about that company.
I mean, man, I played with their stuff at NAMM too.
Yeah.
I've been watching. I get all their emails. They send a million emails, but like I got to play around with their DBX clone that they had.
Is it good? Like, what do you think?
It's really good.
Yeah.
So it doesn't sound as dirty as the real one that I have.
Right.
But maybe you don't want dirty. The same snappy
you just
compression
want that snap
is all there. It's all there.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was fun seeing their stuff. But I've never heard a Pultec Well, I've heard a lot of Pultecs, but I've never heard ones that are like this. This is and the fact that it's new, cleaned, not going to have any problems, nothing like that. All the old Pultecs, they all sound different. They all sound good, of course, but like you don't really know what you're getting.
Well, it's that price difference too, where it's
price point's stupid. It's
right,
insane.
right, where it's like, you look at a vintage piece of gear and like there's always problems that comes with buying a vintage piece of gear. It's always a give and take, and then you have one that it's like, hey, AudioScape, they're like a new old stock kind of a thing where it's like they find the old things and they put it in and blah blah blah, and they stand by their things. And anytime there's been a problem, like I had something wrong with my Opto once, they fixed it up right away, no questions asked. Like the fact that you wanted to get something fixed and they did like upgrade it for you. Blah, blah, blah.
They walked me through it, too. I was on a call with their guys. They, had me open up both of them and take pictures of the insides. That's when I realized they had different transformers. They had different, they weren't matched pieces of gear at all, even though there were two of them.
Right.
And at that time, I wasn't using them as a stereo pair. I was using one on vocals and one on bass and just parking it in the chain.
Right, it's just there, yeah.
And, I was sitting there being like, well, I got to send them in to get it fixed anyway. I was like, well, this would actually be pretty sick. It would be pretty cool to have. So for anybody out there, I mean, it's kind of funny now because in the last 2 months maybe, they've come out with a stereo QPA.
Yeah, I know. Right now it's like
A2
the
or something
A
like
or
that.
Whatever,
2A, yeah. And so people are like, don't you feel dumb now that you a couple of my friends have been like, do you feel dumb that you sent these away and had them do it? Now they just came out with. I said, no, because you still can't do what I'm doing with these two.
Right.
I can still choose this one to be the bass and this one to be the vocals and choose different settings.
Right.
And you can't do it over there on that one.
Right.
If you're only a mix engineer or a mastering engineer or you're only a stereo processor, by all means, do that. You'll save however many hundreds of dollars.
Right.
But it does not actually offer as much flexibility still as having two units. It just sucks because they take up
It's just a different thing. It depends on again what your workflow is and how you're doing it. Want to go on to the next plugin here?
Sure.
The Goodhertz Wolf compressor.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I go through phases where I use it too much sometimes. So they have a mastering one that is coming out, if it's not out already. That is like a new, kind of a revamp with some. I think they have some oversampling.
Oh, I haven't messed.
I think it's in beta form.
Yeah.
I'm extremely excited for that. That is the next evolution of a plugin like that. But I love, especially with compressors, I need it to do something special and different. And that's what the Wolf compression is to me. It's I don't have another kind of compressor that really does that. I don't have one. So all of a sudden, that's nice. That's new. That's a different paintbrush.
For our listeners who haven't used that plugin, what to your ear is it doing that you really like?
So it's my impression that it is that it's based off of a piece of gear that Jay Dilla used a specific preset on this little tape machine. And that it's all based off of that, and that all of his beats were processed through this thing in some way. So the Wolfpack guys, they're geniuses, and they have been using, had been using that similarly or to different effect. But the Wolf compressor is aggressive compression. There's a lot of movement that comes with it.
Right.
So when you're using compression, most people know about dynamic control and keeping your louds and your quiet parts closer together in their perception. But using compression to create movement and to create vibe is kind of another notch up, maybe varsity level understanding of compression. And the Wolf compressor is one that kind of demands that you go there with it. That you change the fundamental way that your sound is moving.
That's not a subtle plugin. Nope. That's something that's whenever I'm trying to do a thing and seeing what it can do to
full
the sound.
Vibe shift.
Yeah.
So I was using that in a similar way that I am now using their plugin Toop. And Toop is a combination of saturation
it's
and
like a tube
compression.
And a tape. That's the whole
tube and tape.
And then is it an opto compressor on it?
So they just have a simple opto compression or compressor with one slider. You get nothing else. And then they have different. You can do everything from choose the kind of tubes that you're emulating.
Are you on the newer version of that plugin? That beta one with it's got the warble and the stuff on
it. So there's Toop Wow, which is the other one.
Right.
So I don't use Toop Wow as often. Not sure why actually. There's no real reason other than I know the other one very well.
Yeah.
My favorite part of the entire Toop plugin is there's a tilt EQ.
Yeah, that very useful.
That is amazing for just a quick broad stroke movement, But the Wolf compressor was my introduction into what Goodhertz was about.
Yeah.
And Goodhertz is not about being clinical and
No.
about being subtle to me, that they are much more about achieving vibe as they define it.
Yeah, I know.
Really.
They're probably might be my favorite plugin company.
They're up there, man.
They're so good. Next plugin, it's a virtual instrument. Cradle Audio's The Prince.
Ooh, that's a good choice. So I don't have the Prince, but I have heard it, and it's been on lots of songs that I've worked on through collaborations with other producers. I know it to be, by reputation, one of the best that it's been of the last 5 years. So I know that it's great. Its sounds are very cool. So if you need cool sounds,
they're great. Like
that's where that
song
is.
starter sounds.
That's true too. I'll give it that as well.
The sounds aren't like subtle sounds. Like I'm not going to that when I'm like, oh, I gotta fill out this production and like find some sounds. It's like, to me, it's like every single sound on there is like, oh, I gotta make a riff with this thing because it's so like it takes up so much space.
Yeah.
Want to go to our next plugin here?
Sure.
This is one that we ask every guest because we get very wild, different responses.
Okay.
CLA Vocals.
I actually don't have a thought on it anymore. I don't use it anymore.
Yeah.
It has swirled in and swirled out of fashion a few times. In general, I think what it embodies is what I like about a lot of other plugins as well, where there's some predictability from it. People know that if they put it on right away, it's going to sound like this. And sometimes that is what you want. So people don't think twice and they go, that's what I want. There it is. But I think for a lot of people, it's also like, you know, baby's first approach to a vocal chain or something. And it's like the first time that you see EQs and compressors and time-based effects all right there. And so you can get pretty close. And I mean, I think for that reason, it's hard to like be like, oh, this is shit. Or like, oh, this is incredible. Because it just does one thing that if you lean on it too hard, that's a problem. If you use it every once in a while, more power to you. I think it's fun to reach back and grab some old plugins sometimes.
I think like you said, like it's understanding what it does, and then once you understand what it does, knowing when to and when not to maybe use it, right? Like, don't use CLA vocals on a folk record. Like, that's bad news bears.
Where somebody was doing a plugin doctor analysis of that. So when you pull it up, default, everything's at zero, or everything at the middle, not at zero, it's at the middle or whatever. There's this whole curve, whole harmonic saturation thing happening. All this stuff is happening already. They're like modeling some console saturation or something.
It's mostly like SSL
from the
stuff.
jump.
Yeah. It's like SSL and like, I mean, you know what it is. It's CLA, so it's SSL 1176 and LA2A. Like, that's what it's doing.
It kind of just feels like a fucking rocket launcher. It's just like, it's not a precise thing, and it's like when you need a big, you know, something, you can reach for that.
I mean, when you want that like late 2000s, early 2010s vocal, like that's what you're reaching for, you know, and sometimes you want that.
I mean, that's the thing. It is a color, it's a flavor. Yeah. I don't have any. I know there's a lot of animosity towards it from people only because it was a crutch for others. Yeah, and so that's fair. We all have our crutches. I'm sure people will look at some of my things and
we're all
think
just
trying
to get back home for dinner at the end of the day. Like, that's fine, you know.
I think there's an elitism in a lot of these niche communities that is there no matter what, and it's like the people who think they know and the people that they think don't know or whatever. And that became like an albatross around the neck of a lot of people. That, oh, you must not know what you're doing because you use this.
Right. So there's people who's just like, I just like it. You know? Yeah.